and welcome to the February 29th, 2024 commission meeting for the Utah Department of Alcoholic Beverage Services. My name is Tara Tooley, Chair of the Commission. Let's get started with our Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Eric Shanson will be leading us. On the agenda, you'll note our proposed future meeting schedule. March 28th, we'll be back in this room. On April 25th, we are looking to have our now annual tradition of the Off the Wasatch Front meeting in Moab at the Grand Center. So we're looking forward to getting out of the valley for that. If you have public comment for today's meeting, we will be taking those comments at the very end of the meeting. You can sign up in the back of the room. If you're participating virtually, you can email your name, city, topic, and affiliation, if that's applicable, to hotline@utah.gov. Again, comments will be addressed at the very end of today's meeting. Next on our agenda is our proposed audit plan for fiscal year 2024, and we're pleased to be joined by Utah State Auditor John Dougal. Auditor Dougal, the floor is yours.
Pleasure to be with you. Clearly, I'm here on the wrong month. Should have been the Moab meeting, but it's great to be with you. Once again, this is our annual update on our proposed plan for the year for the audit. I think you have copies of that. Let me just walk through it really quick. On the financial aspects, review the accounting system, including interfaces and reconciliation process. We've talked about that in the past. When it comes to regulatory, we're going to review certain aspects of the licensing process. We're going to review certain aspects in regards to sale of alcoholic products, both within your stores as well as not within your stores, at grocery stores and so forth. We'll review use of special event permits. We'll also do a follow-up in terms of violation enforcement activities and also the use of earmarked funds, which we also discussed last year. And then in regards to operations, looking at operational activities within your stores, staffing, hours, and so forth. So that is our proposed plan.
Are there any questions from the commission? Yes.
Actually, well, not a question. Thank you. I appreciate the plan that you put before us, and we had a short preview of this just the other day, and there are things on there that I continue to appreciate that your office is looking into from the outside eye for us. And I just wanted to make the point that we appreciate the work that you and your staff particularly did last year. We actually have seen some good policy conversations actually coming up in the legislative session this year based on your work, which I think we always kind of struggle with. I think, that's who has time to kind of really focus in on these issues. And I'm just expressing my appreciation to the auditor's office and outside eye, and just making the point that the work you really do really does show up in positive changes. So thank you.
Okay.
Well, Auditor Dougal, thank you very much. And I really appreciate the work that your staff has done, specifically Jordan and Bertha. Nice to see you, and thank you for the meetings we've had leading up to this, and we really look forward to your report.
Action.
Yes, we do. You want to? Okay.
I'll move that we approve the plan for this year as proposed.
It's in favor of the audit plan for 2024. Please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you. Next, we'll talk about our internal audit procedures and approvals from Tracy. Hi there.
On January 31st, I sent a new copy of the internal audit charter and updated operating manual and policies and procedures for you to review. And as the audit committee by statute, those require approval. The updated information has mentioned the change from the international standards for the professional practice of internal audit to the new global standards. They were released on January 9th of this year. And we're given a 1-year transition period to adopt those new global standards, but early adoption is encouraged. So I'm just asking for your approval for the updated policies and procedures and the new internal audit charter.
Commissioners, any questions? Not, I'd be looking for a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Thank you. The motion is to approve the internal audit charter policies and procedures as proposed by Tracy. And all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The next item on our agenda is the election of a vice chair of the commission. It has been noted that the governor's office for boards and commissions operating at the state level has preferred to see the chair position turn over annually, give a lot of people the opportunity for leadership positions and additional viewpoints to be represented in the chair position. The previous vice chair of the commission, Natalie Randall, has accepted a position running the tourism and film office for the governor's office of economic opportunity. And so she unfortunately had to step down as commissioner. And so we are going to be electing a new vice chair today. I would like to put forward a nomination of Commissioner Steve Handy. Commissioner Handy, while being new to the commission, has had extenuous legislative experience and public service experience, and would move that forward as an official nomination. Commissioner Handy, is there anything you'd like to say? You can't, don't say no.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, something I did not campaign for, but happy to serve in the capacity that would benefit the commission and the department. So,
or could I get a second to my motion to appoint Commissioner Handy as vice chair?
Second to that motion.
Discussion. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Commissioner Handy, now you're the vice chair. Thank you. This is a very fun public service position that we have here. The next item on our agenda is our financial update from. Hi, Sean. Looking forward to your update.
Commissioners, thank you for allowing me to present the January 2024 fiscal financials for DABS. January 2024 saw retail revenue $40.8 million. Last year's January 2023 was $40.1 million. So we had a 1.74% increase year over year. This year's revenue to date totals $338.5 million. Where last year's was $338.1 million. So very close. Not a one, rounded up to a 1% year-over-year increase. After cost of goods sold, all other expenses and transfers to other state funds that we perform, leftover net profit due to the general fund is anticipated at $5 million for January, $61.6 million year to date. Do you have any questions?
Any question? I don't have any questions. I just wanted to compliment you and other members of the staff on all of the work that you've been doing. I know it's just been such a huge lift, and I appreciate not only the work that you've done, but also the way you have framed all of the information so that it's easy to understand and, you know, figure out what's really going on. And I just want to thank you, Kate, Tiffany, everyone who's been working on the transition to the new system.
It's been a team effort.
Yeah, thank you, Sean. On that insurance and bonds where that went to 344,000 and the other, the previous month was zero, that's just a timing situation, isn't it? Isn't that just timing?
Is some of the
Expense.
insurance that we're charged is from other agencies and they're going to charge one lump sum.
Yeah.
Or the entire new one.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why there's such a disparity between.
Assume so. Thank you very much.
We'll move forward on our agenda with our Parents Empowered update. Floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. Obviously, Parents Empowered is our name. Excuse me. But the full name for Parents Empowered is the Parents Empowered Underage Drinking Prevention Media and Community Education Campaign. And I bring this up because we're much more than just a media campaign alone. The community education piece helps to further emphasize the importance of preventing and reducing underage drinking in Utah at the local level. Okay, so our biannual Parents Empowered Underage Drinking Study, it's a parent study that we do twice a year. That is in the field right now, so we're hopeful that our research firm will have those completed in a couple of weeks, and then they'll give us a presentation on the findings for that, and I'll share those with you at a later date. And then we're fast approaching the last quarter of the fiscal year, and we're on a fast track to complete our 11 community partnership projects. And as you know, these are local community coalitions that we give resources to so that they can promote underage drinking prevention in their communities. And we think the nice thing about that is we've got the resources of a professional ad agency that we can offer to them. And we work together to find out what messaging is going to work best in their own community. So we're excited about those 11 projects, and certainly you'll be hearing about those in the near future. And then lastly, I want to highlight and give a shout out to our partners, their Parents Empowered ad agency. They're putting together a Parents Empowered social media training and education, or training and technical assistance presentation for the benefit of our underage drinking prevention work group that represents communities throughout Utah. The training will help to maximize Facebook and Instagram platforms and really offer them tips on how to get something like that going in their own community. Obviously, cities and towns have their own social media pages that they work on, but this really gives them the hands-on, how can we make this better, right? So we're excited that our partners came forward, and they'll be presenting that at our March 13th meeting. So we thank them for thinking ahead. We understand that, again, more than just strong media presence, with our campaign, but the ability to help in the local communities. That's really where kind of the rubber hits the road, so to speak. So we're happy about that. We're excited to move forward with that. And yeah, that's about it. That concludes my report.
For Doug. Thank you, and thank you for all that you do. So important. Makes it so much more effective.
Doug, as you know, I was chair, we put you at the top of do something we need to think about. I had an opportunity to talk to some teenagers last week.
Commissioner Jacobson, could you turn your microphone on, please?
It is on.
There you go.
All right.
There you go.
So what I wanted to, I think, share with everybody is we got a bunch of good kids out there that are really doing the right thing and staying away from it. And we're down to that. We're down to this situation where we have homes that are not teaching the things that we're showing on our advertisements and everything else. But I think the thing we know that your program is working is because the good kids actually talk about it and they bring it up. And so if the peer pressure, of course, is one of the most important things for these teenagers. So I think it's really, really important for you folks to know that you are getting through, even though there's this number that's still there that says we have teenage drinking. The others are so cognizant of it that that improvement within that group, I think, is significant for the long term.
Thank you, Chairman Jacobson. I appreciate that comment. And you're right. Most kids in Utah don't drink alcohol. And it's that small percentage that we really need to do some work with. And because we know where it takes these kids, right? So yeah, I appreciate the comments and we'll continue those efforts for sure.
To our operations update, we'll start with.
Thank you, Chair Tui. Really want to be brief today. I think the things that, from an operations perspective, that's top of mind for us to report to you all today. There is a day and a half left of the legislative session. The big bill that is casually referenced as the alcohol omnibus bill has taken its journey this session. As of the time of this meeting, there's been a vote in the House. It passed the House. There's been a vote in the Senate. It passed the Senate. It has some, procedural conference that needs to take place. And then, of course, barring any issues with that, it will be before the governor to sign into law officially. We'd like to make sure that once it passes, we'll give you all a debrief and a summary of all of the things that are in that bill that impact not only the DABS and its operations, but also the commission, those that we serve. There are public health and safety and DPS things in there. And so what I can say I'm really excited about, and again, there's a day and a half, I guess something could happen, but I hope not. We have been successful with the business cases that we've put forward to be prioritized by the governor. And of course, supported by the legislature from an appropriations perspective. Those business cases really spoke to addressing some things out of the state, the annual audit out of the auditor's office. And so obviously we're very excited that those have been successful. And we'll, again, look forward to reporting more fully over the next month once that is all official. The second thing I wanted to update you all on is we have 2 new members at the DABS with our compliance team. We have Eric Christensen. If you could just wave to us, Eric. He led us in the pledge today. Hello. And then we also have Jorge Corona Leva. If you could wave, joining us. As you know, you all work closely, hear from all of our staff, but especially our staff that work on this compliance team and do such an important job on the front end of the businesses, hospitality businesses, right, that are looking to become licensed. And then, of course, these staff do such an incredible job at making sure that they remain in compliance through their audit visits. So welcome to the team. We're glad to have you, and make sure that you get an opportunity to say hello to the commissioners if you haven't already done so. I know Kate has a quick update, and then that will conclude our operations.
Thank you, Director Clayson. Wanted to update the commission and let them know about something that's a slight change in our operations. And this one deals with allocated product. So we have our rare high demand product, which is the items that we do on the draw. And then we have kind of a step down. One step down is our allocated items. These are items that are very popular as well, but maybe just not as quite as high as the drawing type products. These items are usually very low in inventory, and these are items that we want to make sure get to those who want them in a timely manner. And so we're changing our process on how that's going to work. We just wanted to update you. So here are some of the new process. First of all, it'll be launched on our website. There'll be a new web address of abs.utah.gov/allocated and rare. So there you can go and see the allocated items that we're going to be putting out to stores and the quantities of where they'll be. And on the third Saturday of every month, we'll have those items available at 11 a.m. for purchase. So if you're interested in seeing what those items are, that website will be up later today. You'll be able to know where they're going to be, the quantities that we have. So this is a little bit of a change where we haven't had that information as quickly as we want, but the difference is they won't be available for purchase until the third Saturday at 11 a.m. We hope this gives individuals who might be working or have other responsibilities throughout the week, that they'll have an opportunity to then make arrangements to find a place where they can go and make a responsible purchase. So that'll be occurring here this month. So March 16th is the first time we'll be doing that. We want to be very transparent of where this product is, what it looks like, and where you can make that purchase. And we feel like this will be very helpful. So all we ask is that if you're interested in that product, to go and make that purchase, you can go to the store. If there's a line, we ask that you stand in line and be very, courteous and kind to those around you as we prepare to get this product ready for sale. You'll come into the store right as we open, go through the register and be able to buy the one bottle that you want to have for that time. So you come in, make a purchase of the one bottle that you're interested. You can choose it based on your order in line, the availability of the product. We have a number of items that we're pushing out, so we're very excited about these items and anticipate that we will do this every single month going forward on the thirds. Do you have any questions at all on that process?
I've got a question.
Okay.
So you're saying at 11 a.m. on the website will be published where these allocated items are?
No, that'll be published today for the 16th of the third Saturday. So we anticipate at least the week before publishing all those items, all that information. So folks can make a plan if they need to of where they might need to go. Now, these won't be in all stores, but we anticipate we'll be able to represent all of the state of Utah to some degree.
Okay. Well, that makes a lot more sense than the way I was thinking of it, is like go to a store at 11 a.m., hold your phone and hope you're in the right place.
No. This will be way in advance. You'll be able to see it, where it's at, make plans if you need
It's like
to.
you've been thinking about how this will work.
Well, we hope it's much more fair and easily accessible to those who might be interested in these type of items. Mostly they're, bourbons and whiskeys and a few things like that, but there are occasionally some wine that might fall into that. But for the most part, we're going to run that. We're also simultaneously going to be running some products through our drawing process, which you can access on our website as well and sign up for those. Sure.
So the drawings for the rare products, does that still happen? Does that happen monthly?
Doesn't happen monthly, but as they
Just
come
make-
up, we make them
Make the
available.
announcements.
Yeah, we have a decision tree that we use to be able to access and understand which item would fall into that category and which item would fall into our A status items. And as we will work closely with our vendors and coordinate with them on understanding the demand of these items, we anticipate hopefully to be able to offer a much better service.
And I love the transparency of this new system. So I'm wondering if at some point, I know we don't always know when those rare products are going to arrive, but to the extent that we could do something similar with those, because this is something that the public really does care about.
They sure do. They sure
And I
do.
really love this new system. So maybe we can figure out a way to make that happen for the rare products as well. So,
For sure. As they
especially in
come
the
available.
fall.
Yeah, the fall, there is some talk there in the fall, that's for sure.
Right.
Thank you very much. Mhm.
Thank you, Kate. That was a really great update. Moving on to item 10 on our agenda, violations. It looks like on our consent calendar today, we're considering 29 individual violations. Sam, I'll turn that over to you for any discussion to those items.
Chair, Commissioners. Yes, items 1 through 29 are all
settlement agreements in place. Commission action.
Sam, thank you for all your work on getting these settlements in a good place to present to the commission. Commissioner Tenner, as chair of our compliance subcommittee, has met with her subcommittee to consider these items, and I asked her if there were any items that we need to pull off the agenda or if she'd like to make a motion.
Great. Thank you, Chair. Well, as you mentioned, the compliance subcommittee did review all of these settlements, and we appreciate all of the additional information and context that the AG's office and our staff provides on them. As this is a consent calendar, any commission member can pull off those items for individual discussions. Just want to make sure that that's clear, even though this was reviewed in the compliance subcommittee. But saying all of that, I will go ahead and make a motion that represents the subcommittee's consensus recommendation, and that is to approve the consent calendar as written, to approve those settlements numbers 1 through 29.
For a second. Commissioner Terrazon, any discussion to the motion? All those in favor of approving items 1 through 29, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That passes. Thank you, Commissioner Tenner and the subcommittee for your work there. Next, we'll go to our licensee recognitions. These are licensees who have passed the covert underage fire inspections. Director Gleason.
Great. Thank you, Chair Tui. We have reflected on the screen, and of course, commissioners, in your packets, a list of 70 licensees that passed their SBI inspections for the prior month, the month of January. I always just like to point out that you'll see that we have establishments from all over the state of Utah: Midvale, Lehigh, West Valley City, Mill Creek, up north in Logan. And so, of course, we appreciate those folks that are really focused on their operations, especially as it pertains to safety, especially as it pertains to making sure their operations prevent underage drinking and consumption. So we appreciate all of those licensees working hard on that effort. Thank you.
Director Clayson, I also wanted to share with you that I was in the Foothill liquor store last month and saw what looked like an underage buyer present questionable ID. And I watched the conversation unfold. I kind of stood back and, oh, this is going to be good. And it was. I want to just give kudos to that store specifically. We asked a number of questions. And at the end of the day, even though the recipient answered all of the questions as pertaining to the information on the ID, he said, I can't verify the validity of this. I'm going to confiscate it. And instead of putting up a fight, she said, okay, and ran out of the store. And I immediately ran over and said, does this happen a lot? Unfortunately, yes, this does happen, especially as we understand from our training, that store specifically gets a lot. The training kicked in, and I wanted to give that store kudos for doing the right thing.
Thank you. We'll pass that along. I'll have Cade confirm or deny, but I think that store has typically like the highest sort of bounty rate, if you want to call it that, for fake ID confiscation. Is that correct, Cade?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
So thank you.
That's my store.
We'll pass that along. Thank you for letting us know.
Sure. May I just add, I wasn't going to bring it up, but the fact that you brought this up did motivate me to share. I've appreciated that the staff has helped me kind of really dig into the data around this and just kind of understand what trends look like. And so I will just make the point that as we look at our data and look at the Cub investigations, now I understand this was the Cub investigation, but there is a 100% pass rate for our state stores. And so we've just seen some great operators over on the private side, but we do not have a 100% pass rate in our off-prem, in our bars, or in our restaurant locations, and we need to continue to work towards that number, but just putting data to the anecdote that you shared is that we have really excellent folks working in the store. So thank you.
We'd like to see those recognitions every month, and I'm glad that that's now an item on the agenda every month. Moving on to our consent agenda. Jeremy, I understand you're going to be noting what's on our agenda for today.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, Commissioners. It's my pleasure to present the consent agenda, and I'll just read through some notes. In the consent agenda, we will include prior meeting minutes dated January 25, 2024, January renewal campaign results, and some but not all license applications. This consent agenda notes that 1,822 license records meet statutory requirements for renewal for January's renewal campaign, 83 license records that will not be renewed. This consent agenda also includes applications for the following license and permit types: off-premise beer retailer, special use public service permit, special use industrial permit, beer wholesaler, hospitality amenity, restaurant limited service, restaurant beer, and on-premise beer rec. The consent agenda does not include restaurant full service or bar establishment applications. These license types have historically had license scarcity, and given the likely need for additional discussion amongst yourselves and the applicants, those will be heard and actioned separate from this consent agenda. It is important to note that all of the applications for your approval on this consent agenda have been processed, vetted, and found to have met all statutory requirements. You as a commission have the preparation materials on their businesses and relevant requirements, and have reviewed the materials and had the opportunity to ask questions of staff for clarity and due diligence. Staff can answer any questions you may have now, if you have any, for this consent agenda. If there are no questions, I understand the chair will be looking for a motion to approve this consent
Agenda.
Commissioner Tenner, is there a second? Thank you, Commissioner Warden. They know when I give them the eye. Sorry. Any discussion to the motion or to Commissioner Jacobson? Yes. Jen Air. Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor of approval of the consent agenda, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, and thank you for all of the work. It's a lot. We'll now be moving on to our license application agenda items. First of all, bar establishments. Rob, if you're prepared, we'd love a rundown of what's on our agenda today. Thank you. Rob, it's your Thank you.
Right, I'll start over. So we have one change of ownership. We have Kennedy's Cabaret for the change of ownership. The application's complete and meets statutory requirements. And then we have 10 bar licenses available. We have 3 applicants that are ready to go. We have Premier Park City in Park City, Belt Bar and Eatery in Salt Lake, and Weathered Waves in Salt Lake.
Any questions for Rob before we discuss? Thank you, Rob. Commissioner Tenner, I know that your subcommittee reviewed this, and I think we're going to have some additional discussion here, so I'll turn it over to you.
I appreciate that. And thank you, Rob, to you and your team for all the work on this. Why don't we go ahead and just take these in chunks? So license change of ownership, as the chair did mention, the committee did review all of these in detail and has a consensus recommendation. So the consensus recommendation is to approve that change of ownership. So I will make that motion to approve the change of ownership for Kennedy's Cabaret.
Commissioner Orton seconds. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
All right, the consensus recommendation of the committee is to approve those applications that meet the working ready to open criteria that we've been working under for the past year or so in light of scarcity around these licenses. And so I move that we approve the applications for ready to operate applicants, items 1, 2, and 3, Premier Park City, Felt Bar and Eatery, and Weathered Waves.
Is there a second? Thank you, Commissioner Orton. Is there any discussion? I will note that they all are projected to open today. Happy leap year. So momentous day to open. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Commissioner Tenner.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I would personally like to make another motion as it relates to all other applicants. And I think, you know, this commission has grappled with trying to balance giving some certainty about these applicants that are making massive investments, that they'll have the ability to actually open and operate once all of their construction and final details are taken care of, balancing that with making sure that, balancing that with the fact that we could have licenses being granted, but not actually in service because there's still construction going on, or all of those things that go along with opening still going on, while there are applicants that are actually ready to operate, ready to pay wages, and ready to meet consumer demand. And so we've been trying to balance this, given that there's such scarcity of licenses, and we've, gone back and forth about at what number does it make sense to maybe pull back a bit on granting conditional licenses, and what number does it make sense in terms of having licenses available to be a little bit more flexible and granting those conditional licenses to give those applicants some certainty that, again, the license will be there for them when they are done with that construction. So again, dealing with this for quite some time now. The legislature, as the director mentioned, has the alcohol omnibus bill in play. And we were just comparing notes, and the director had mentioned that it had passed both bodies, was back in the House on the concurrence calendar. It has since actually passed. So on concurrence. And so the alcohol bill has passed. It will eventually make its way over to the governor for his signature. So there is a clause in that bill where the legislature has actually articulated this policy that we struggle with, which I've shared. And that clause requires the commission to grant any conditional license where the applicant has met all statutory criteria. Now, assuming that the governor signs this bill, the bill won't go into effect until May. However, I feel like the legislature's articulated its policy. And so I would like to make a motion based on that, and that would be that we approve all other applicants, items 1 through 7, and give them conditional licenses.
I'll second that so that we can have a discussion. So are there commissioners who would like to discuss? Commissioner Orton.
I agree. I think that the legislature has made their intent. And Commissioner Handy and I were just having this discussion because I had questions going into this about what we would do with regard to full restaurants. And I would just say that I agree with Commissioner Tenner. I think the intent is clear. We should go ahead and award those that already have conditional.
Commissioner Jacobson.
Well, I just learned about the motion when I walked in here today. Several years ago, we were working on the concept of giving licenses to people who were at the beginning of the process. And the idea was to get those out of a separate box, so to speak, and be able to monitor those so that people wouldn't hold licenses for 18 months and then say, you know, sorry, we didn't open or use those licenses during the 18 months for things which we couldn't control or have decided that this is not an appropriate use of the license, or even tried to make some of these subterfuge transfers, which we eliminated in about 2 years ago with the legislative omnibus bill at that point in time. I think it takes a lot of control away from the department as well as, of course, from the commission, in that once we award the license, we can't touch it for 18 months. And I know that the governor has not signed this bill yet, and I would think that this is one of those things that needs to be massaged a little bit. And though I understand that the people who may have lobbied for this bill did so with good intention and with the idea that it really is a burden to go out, get $1 million loan, start building something, and then have to come, you know, on hands and knees to the commission and say, you've got 2 licenses and 3 applicants, and I'm one of those that should get it. This will also deplete all of our licenses at this point in time. And so anybody who comes in next month, we will not have licenses we have today. I believe that the best thing to do in this particular instance is to wait to see what the governor does with the bill. Hopefully there is some opportunity to make these necessary corrections that will both benefit the industry that's concerned about not being able to do a license until the very end, as well as give us the ability to assure that people are properly using these licenses during the period that they have this conditional situation hanging over them.
I wanted to add that I don't necessarily agree with the legislature. And I do agree with Commissioner Jacobson that I don't think this is going to be a positive thing for the industry, because we are going to end up month after month without any licenses to award. But I still believe that this is going to be the way things are going to break down from this point forward. And if this is if this is what the legislature, I mean, you know, if this is what they want us to do, I'm happy to go along with it. I do think there will be negative consequences, but it's what we've been told we're supposed to do. So
I will just add that, you know, having been part of these conversations after the bill was made public at the legislature, I think personally, I'm grateful that the legislative leads have looked at addressing the quota for both bar and full service restaurant licenses, looking at decreasing the denominator, which increases the number of licenses over the next 7 years. I agree with Commissioner Tenner that the legislative intent for us not to deny a license that is conditional and has met statutory requirements is clear. So I'll be voting in favor of the motion. I also agree with Commissioner Jacobson and Commissioner Orton that we are going to be finding ourselves in a place of scarcity in all likelihood, considering our economy in the state and the demand for licenses. I don't think that on the bar license side that we're going to be able to. I hope I'm wrong about that, but I think, you know, we'll see. I did testify in both the House and the Senate that based on our historical data for bar and full service restaurant applications versus the additional licenses that will be coming to the commission, that we will likely still be in a place of scarcity. But I will also say it's better than having no additional licenses. So grateful for the small steps that we've been taken, and also have been told by the legislative leads that they would be willing to come back and look at this again next year if we're not keeping pace with the demand from applicants. And so with that, I'll see if there's any other comments before we go to the vote. Yes, Commissioner Hammond.
Thank you very much. You mentioned, Madam Chair, earlier that I am the newest member of the body, and in my 4 or 5 commission meetings, I have seen this bounce back and forth. And you recall, I asked the question: is this a policy or is this a practice of the commission? And it's been kind of a policy practice, and to hold these back until that ready to operate. I'm ready to open the doors tomorrow or today, and those other ones we just approved. But I did follow the bill very carefully, Commissioner Jacobson, to you specifically. I listened to both hearings. I read the bill and asked questions of individuals. Heard the director make her comments, and our chair make her comments. And I think that it's from my experience, I mean, I can't imagine that the governor at this point, whose staff has been involved in these negotiations and discussions, that there will be anything except a Spencer J. Cox signature on the bill. So I think that's where we are. I think that's where we are today. And it's very carefully spelled out in the language in the bill that this is a policy. Is that how you understand it, Madam Chair?
Yeah, and
Yep.
I'll just read for edification for the audience or those maybe listening online. I've got the bill pulled up. I'll read the specific provision. The commission may not deny an application, and for those following along, this is HB 548. It's online, and this is starting at line 954. The commission may not deny an application for a retail license, an application for a conditional retail license under section 32B-5-205, or an application for a sub-license under chapter 8D Sub-License Act if the application satisfies the requirements of this chapter, and for the retail license or a conditional retail license, granting the retail license or the conditional retail license would not cause the commission to exceed the maximum number of licenses of that retail license type that the commission is authorized to issue under this chapter. To me, that's. Okay, so let's go to a vote. The motion from Commissioner Tenor is to approve all other applicants 1 through 7. We'll be taking comments at the end of the meeting. So all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed. I vote that passes. So we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is restaurant full service applications. And Rob, thank you. I didn't mean to make you stand up there. Craig, I'll give you an out before we debate. Craig, so why don't you give us a rundown of what's in this agenda item today?
It's 1, 2, and 3. They've exhausted that closure that allowed by statute. Number 1, it's for the best extended closure of March commission. They have an opening on March 5th. Item number 2, hunt and gather employee requested until the April commission meeting. They have a Outlaws Roost in Hanksville. They're requesting for the March commission meeting. They have their number 4, Park in Salt Lake City. This is a licensee. They were awarded a conditional license. Sure, after a commission meeting on that day, sense. So, granted, extended pictures asked. Their request.
So it's my understanding from our subcommittee discussion where we fully vetted this situation that that will be the final, like, they have to be open by October. I'm talking about Harthenville.
Yes, I believe the statute does allow for circumstances, but the statute rates after that. So that condition, license. Which would be that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Commissioner Handy, I understand that the operations subcommittee discuss full service restaurant licenses, and I'd be looking for a recommendation on extended closures.
Thank you. Would you like a motion, Madam Chair?
Yes. please.
Yes, a motion to the effect is that, as presented by his recommendations.
So the motion is to approve items 1 through 4.
Correct.
for
Thank
extended
you.
closure.
Thank you for the restating. Yeah.
Is there a second? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. And then the change of ownership?
For our license change of ownership, we're actually going to strike item 15. Ronald's Macaroni Grill in Murray. You can expect to see the March version. It's there. So that leaves us with item number 1 and 3 for our change of ownership. Murray Wingers in Murray and Antigua Cecilia in
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that license change of ownership for number 1, Murray Wingers, and number 3, Antigua Cecilia be approved.
There's a second. Thank you, Commissioner Terrazon. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, Craig, just based on our previous conversation, I'm gonna ask you to talk about the ready to operate applicant along with all other applicants. That's okay.
So this month we do have 43 full restaurant licenses available in Florida. In addition, we have 3 summer season licenses available. There have been a few updates since our subcommittee meeting. We do have one applicant that is ready to operate. That was Root, Salt Lake City. They are currently for food service. Their application is complete. Statutory requirements. Items number 1 and 2 are all other applicants address. Bryce Canyon Pines and Bryce, they are conditional, they just need a final inspection. But they are open service at this time. And then Tita's Restaurant in Taylorsville. It is conditional for business license swap with Taylorsville. They actually opened this past weekend. So they're great. Service. Items 3, 4, and 5 are just updated, anticipated, or projected opening dates at Salt Lake City. They are currently under construction progress. Their Sky Resorts in Cannonville, just down by Bryce Canyon. It's the Bryce Canyon. They have a projected opening June 1st. And Longhorn Steakhouse in Spanish Fork. All those applicants are applications are.
Looking for your recommendation.
Yes, thank you very much. And we're going to take, Madam Chair, we're going to take these all together, the ready to operate from Rue down through Longhorn.
Actually, let's do
How would you like me to do
ready
that?
to operate individually and then we'll go to the next one.
All right, so move, thank you. Move for approval of the ready to operate for Rue.
Is there a second? Chair Horton seconds. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, moving on to all other applicants. Commissioner Handy, would there be a motion?
Now let's go ahead and get this on a motion so we can discuss, move for approval of 1 through 5.
Is there a second? Commissioner Orton, is there discussion to the motion? Madam Chair?
Again, I mean, I've made my, my thoughts around this known, and so I think this is the right thing to do, given the direction from the legislature. I will say I think what I've kind of struggled with this whole time has been around that 18-month time period, right? And so, I mean, I actually really kind of even welcomed that legislative language coming through, because I've seen, again, like a couple of these entities coming before us with a couple of months, and feeling feeling a little bit more certain about what happens in those couple of months, as opposed to, going further and further out, 6 months out, 12 months out, 18 months out. And so I'm actually not certain that I want to make this recommendation for amending the motion, but I'm just going to say that I feel good about items 1 through 4. Item number 5 is a December 30th, like that 2024. It feels like it's almost 2025. That one feels like it's farther out. So that, I mean, that we could consider bifurcating. Again, come May, we would have to prove that one either anyway. So just for discussion's sake, just some thoughts about where I am. I'm not actually ready to make that amendment, but just so everyone is fine.
I'd just like to point out,
Mayor Jacobson.
yeah, I'm sorry, but you see, this is exactly what's wrong with this issue. But Lieutenant has pointed out, we're going to be giving someone permission to open at the very end of the year. Well, they're telling us they're not going to open at the end of the year. We all know there's slippage. And we have no idea, we have no way to monitor whether or not the progress or not. So I mean, I just don't think there's enough checks and balances in place to assure that we can monitor some of this progress. So, but I know, obviously some of you folks must have talked about this ahead of time. I'm a little bit coming at this cold hearing about this morning, but I just see too many problems with this that we have to talk about.
Just, Madam Chair, if it's okay, just for Commissioner Jacobson, I mean, I'll tell you, I personally have been struggling with this, and I've been watching the bill really closely, and just echoing what what the colleagues have said about kind of the timing and how this process works. I've been kind of waiting to see whether that not that language stuck in both houses, and that's where I come in this morning, seeing that language was on the concurrence calendar, and then while we sat here in this meeting, actually passed both bodies. That's where, so I know this feels like we haven't had a lot of time to really hash this out, but that's where I felt like I had to make that initial motion and then have this discussion right now, given that this has all come up yesterday and today, with this bill being pretty certain that this is going to end up in statute. So I'm just acknowledging that it's frustrating that we haven't had time to really think through the implications of this, but honestly, I'm not sure that we would really even have the leisure of thinking through the implications of this, because it will be in statute come May. But like I said, I mean, I would consider maybe waiting until May on this Longhorn Steakhouse, but I feel like the writing's on the wall.
I'll add a comment here too. Even though I agree with, Commissioners Tenner and Commissioner Jacobson, that this is far out, and that this is exactly why we've held back licenses, because we don't want to encumber a license that could otherwise be put to use. And we have no power to rescind a license for 18 months once we've granted it. That's exactly why we've had this policy practice rule, whatever, of having to hold back the licenses. But the language in the statute is very clear. And in my mind, there is no room to hold back a license, even if we think it's the right thing to do. I think the legislative intent is clear. Yeah.
I just want to clarify. So when we award these licenses today, they actually have until next fall. It doesn't matter what they say here. They have until next fall to open. Yeah. So not this fall, this coming fall, but the fall of 2025. Right. And then is there an extension on top of that? I mean, I think we're basically giving them like 3 years when we do this, right?
Once that,
Right, yeah, go ahead, Craig.
fire.
Okay, so the commission can only extend for another 6 months past what? Because I thought I thought there were extenuating circumstances that could, so basically, I just want us, for our understanding and for the public's understanding, I just want to make it clear that we're basically giving them a license that they don't have to put into use until 2026.
So we have a motion and a second on the table to approve all other applicants, items 1 through 5. So all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Opposed.
Motion passes. Craig, thank you. Let's move on to item 14 on our agenda, type 2 and 3 package agency applications. Jeff will be presenting today, and just as a reminder to commissioners, we had the 9-hour-long public meeting. Was it last year or 2022? Yeah, I know, it felt like it lasted forever.
I actually thought it was kind of fun. I thought it was great to connect with all those people back.
So, the point of that meeting was to interview all of these package agencies whose contracts with the state were up for renewal, and consider their business plans and make sure that we had interviewed and vetted all of these package agency contracts before they were awarded. We also tasked the department with seeking to create some competition in this space. That competition among applicants wasn't necessarily a bad thing. Competition in business generally leads to better outcomes for consumers. And so today, my understanding, we will be for the first time considering 2 applicants for a single PA license. We are not going to be ruling on this today, but it is our opportunity as a commission to hear from the 3 different applicants on our agenda. And then we will come back with a discussion next meeting. So Jeff, anything you'd like to add before we lead in here?
Yes, good morning, commissioners. The 3 applicants, the applications are complete, statutory requirements. We have one for the Escalante location, and one for Shane. For the Escalante, we have 1 applicant, that is Nathan Wagoner. And then for the Duchesne, we have 2 applicants. It's a type 3, and that is Virginia McKinnon and Kevin Sorensen. The 2 different applicants. You'll be hearing from them in 10 minutes. You will have an opportunity to discuss with them also. And progress, if you have any additional questions, you're welcome to get on. Sure. So, which we can follow up. Applicants as well. With that, like,
Oh, how are you guys doing today?
Could you please introduce yourself and make sure you sign in? And
Sure. Yes, my name is Nathan Wagoner, and I am the owner of Escalante Outfitters. And we are the only person on the agenda applying for this package. I came on in 2006 as an owner, part owner in Escalante Outfitters, and this year is the first year that my wife and I have become sole owners. It's been a family-run business since that time. So I've worked with the DABS constantly throughout those times. And we've supplied our community with what they need for their stores and bars that are in school through slow winter months as well as the busy tourist season. I've been a part of that the entire time, so I'm very familiar with running a package agency, and I think all of our customers are happy with us as well. We also kind of spread out a little bit. There's actually a couple of people that were approved for full restaurant service that would possibly be our customers coming up in the season. Escalante is also a very small town, and so we're isolated. So it's nice to have that right there in the town. There's a couple of different PAs that are located in our county. It's quite a drive for customers. So have it right there, come to our store, get what they need. It's worked out for the last 17 weeks. So, you guys have any questions for me?
Side of this is actually something better for following up later. But just for example, when we need to think about kind of your access to the public and you know, what types of, what is the demographics and what's tourist traffic look like and everything else. I'm just interested, what are your hours?
So we have both winter hours and we have our on-season hours. We, starting March 1st, will be open every single day. Our store will with the PA side. And we open at 8 o'clock in the morning and we'll go till 9 o'clock at night. So during the busiest part of the season, we're there to take care of the customers that can come in later in the afternoon, and as well as a lot of the government officials that work in our area. And we get to 5 o'clock. So they can get what they need as well.
Okay, thank you.
There's quite a bit as far as BLM, Forest Service, and Park Service.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I might just ask you a business focused question. I mean, not that you necessarily have to differentiate yourself because the closest state store is 184 miles away. But what do you do to meet the needs of your community and stand out as a business there?
Sure. So we carry a variety of things, and even though it's a small store, but we try to have as much selection. And we've also done it for so long that we can really establish exactly what people need. That's also kind of, since we've been, so my contract is not up for this PA store. I just bought the business from my family. And so there's no process for renewal or change of ownership for a PA store. So that's why we're here now. But yeah, having that long-term connection with the community, it's given us a kind of a foothold of what they need on. We have a new bar that came on. It's 2017, so we supply them with everything that they need. Quite a few large kind of lodging scenarios that also buy from us as well. Restaurants, of course, the restaurants. So yeah, and so we've always kind of expanded. And another thing that's really important to me is to keep people on my staff year after year that know how to run this and know they have those links. I mean, my wife and I here at the store every single day. We're always greeting the customers when they're coming in and finding out what they need. And so that's a huge advantage. And if there's ever a complication, we can be there immediately to kind of figure out what's going on and figure out the situation. We're not owners that live somewhere else and have a PA store. We are right there all the time, interacting with everything. So. And also, because of the backpacking clientele and things like that, we also have another store that can sell things like platypus wine bags, things like that. People that are backpacking in the area that can come in and grab those things and then take it with them. So we have kind of this side retail that goes kind of along well, it matches up quite well with the games.
Yeah, Nathan, I appreciate the photos that have been provided in the application. Looks like a really neat, clean place. I'm excited to come see it sometime.
Yeah, it's great.
Looks like a really,
kind of
really neat.
wonderful, and it's kind of one of those kind of like an old time
Yeah,
store where
exactly,
people come in.
It's really neat.
What do you need?
Very
Buy it.
rustic.
Yeah, it's our mission statement's always been kind of a one stop there for Escalante, and the PA has helped us kind of fulfill that mission. Any other questions?
Thank you for being here. Thank you for making the drive. And did you want to say anything else?
Yes, there is one thing that I wanted to mention, and I talked to Beth about this. Since I am the only person applying for this BA, and we've done it for the last 17 years, we are right on the cusp of coming on to that March spring break season. And I know that I will need to return to the next BABS meeting, commission meeting, to get that approval in that contract. But Jessica and these guys are going to be down in my neck of the woods here pretty quick in the next couple of weeks. The entire thing set up, just repainted the PA store, have the plug ready to take the POS terminal. I was wondering, especially because of the bar and some of the other affiliates we work with, they're about to be inundated. You know, our town will triple in size with visitors. And so we were wondering if there's a possibility that we could sign a contract earlier than the next meeting. We'll miss that entire month of those spring break sales.
Jeff,
have-
do you want to comment on that? Do you want to come up to the mic and?
I have a couple letters as well from some of the people that I work closely with, the bar and a couple of the lodges that asked for that.
So because this is a new contract, till it is approved by the commission, sign of both parties, it has to go to purchasing other agencies for approvals. The contract.
So Jeff, your recommendation is for the commission to approve this contract? And do you have any reason why we couldn't do that today? Oh, Jeremy, sorry.
My question to council would just be that the way the meeting was noticed has been properly noticed to allow the commission this latitude. Okay.
So yes, we can, if there's a motion to approve it.
I would make a motion to do that. I've had the privilege of going through your establishment. It has a great reputation.
Discussion. Keep the letters.
I was once told by a judge, you know, when you're winning, you need to sit down and shut up.
Thank you.
All those in favor of approving the PA contract to Nathan Wagner for Escalante, please say aye. 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 Any opposed? Thank you.
So pardon me, interject also. So now we would have to get the contract ready and the signature process. So not be immediately, but we can now proceed with that step.
Proceed expeditiously.
Next is Fort Duchesne, this is Virginia McKinnon.
State your names and make sure you sign in.
About consideration in our machine store. It's my son. Very much a part of and advising us last 12 years in the machine store. I'd like to also thank staff. It's been a very difficult time. Jeff and his staff have been helpful. questions. Um, husband and I have been running the passed on November 30th last year. And that is the reason. I'm really applying for the opportunity to continue operating the liquor store and responsibly serve my customers and surround. President of Shane for the last 54 years. 45 years plus of that time. Scott and I were self-employed in the oil field. Successful build a business that put a roof over our head. For 12 of those years, 12 years, Scott and I had been officially awarded the space available was an old rundown office building that really had plants going out of the fence, the vents for the heat and air conditioning. And it was an office space that had 3 separate little rooms and a larger room with a counter that ran up the room. All the products were kept behind the counter, so the clerk gave them anything the customer needed. There was no hands-on, which is not an ideal situation for a retail store. Even with the setup, even with that setup, we were able to improve the selection of products and our units went up and revenue steadily. In 2022, we were finally able to move out of that gloomy old building to a brand new one that was clean, open, and we custom built all of the shelving, which included heavy duty. And Scott designed a checkout using whiskey barrels, lumber, and a beautiful laminated cement countertop. Customers love the new hands-on shopping and browsing concept, and our unit sales are getting better. Take your time. All of this, we have always had the support of Scott couldn't do much. But heavy stuff like that because of the Scouts. Our family was always there till they came. Day one, the store has been family oriented. Always good. Advice during that 12 years was Kyle. Kyle is my son-in-law and is the owner of a very successful business of his own.
Help with this last couple of months.
Kyle, could you also state your last name for the record?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Kyle Arnold.
Thank you very much.
I just want to give a quick overview. I'm not sure how many of you had the opportunity to hear. Said they've operated the store in good shape for the past 12 years. My father-in-law Scott has been sick for a number of years, progressively worse.
he took what he thought were all the steps to make sure that Ginger was added to the last contract back in 2022. That was issued in July of 2022. It's come to our attention that there may have been some clerical errors in that, which is why we're back. This didn't just automatically float. In July of 2022, the state issued the license to both Scott and Virginia. We just felt, and again, Scott, and I played a part with Scott over these last couple of years, and how built he was. Great chance that he would pass sooner or later. His only concern was making sure that his wife, of 50+ years, didn't have to go through. He's got a lease in place. She's got employees in place. She works the store herself. We as a family help in every way we can. It's going to be a short-term thing to get fixed and reissued to Ginger to the point. Anyway, at least we have employees and she's continuing to pay in hopes of the schedule later. So that this isn't just coming out of the top. She is dependent on that income. It's the work. And that's why it's so important to her. Because that, again, he thought everything. Jeff and his people have been fantastic to work with. We just hope that the commission can see what have occurred. I think Scott, Virginia, last 12 years, had an issue with the state. They've gotten letters from people both in town that can support them. They're my in-laws. Not everyone may care much about their in-laws, but they're great. They do anything and everything. And this store means a lot to us as a family, because it means so much. We just hope that the commission can see this and hopefully in a quick manner as possible address this and hopefully reassign this store to juniors. Real community is out in the store. And thank you.
That concludes your presentation. Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here. Are there questions from the commission?
Madam Chair, I probably more of a question for staff. I didn't realize the extenuating circumstances, and I'm so sorry for your loss. And I know that it's very, very fresh. So thank you for being here and kind of sharing with us what's going on here. You mentioned that both names are on the license. Yeah, so can maybe staff just explain to us, kind of what we have before us? This feels a little different than a truly new application. Is it that?
This isn't what I meant by competition.
Yeah,
but-
yeah, exactly.
But
That's where I'm kind of trying to understand. Is it that there's only one name on the contract, but there's the two names on the license? Like, this feels like potentially a technical thing that I just want to understand, given that it sounds like you're not operational right now. Is that correct?
For clarification, on the application, sign as sole proprietor for Scott. Yeah. The license was sent out again to the database. This was our old database system. Scott, part of the prior contract But then this contract came through, it was just under Scott as a sole proprietor. So was the application. So that's where it presented issue, because it's a sole proprietor. You have to look at it.
Jeff, do you have to follow on? So having that context is helpful. It sounds like you have some additional context. We'd love to hear from the additional context. It's okay.
I understand that we saw that there had been speed back and forth with Jeff Scott, that he may have listed the application as a sole proprietorship, but I believe he had both his and Virginia's in the application and contract, as we understand it now. We can't find a signed copy, but we have seen emails that the wife, Virginia's daughter, has located between Scott and Jeff, Scott and PFS. And it appeared that Jeff asked for some clarification on that regarding sole proprietorship. We actually found a partnership agreement that Scott had started, but I honestly can't say for a fact whether he ever completed it. But it is my understanding that both names were on that application and for the license. And again, I don't want to, I don't know this to be a fact, but I think the prior one was in just Scott's name, which is why Scott had COPD and it was progressive. And again, in 2022, this was something that he knew he needed to make sure he addressed, because he didn't know if tomorrow was going to be perfect. And that's why he made sure to take those steps at that time. Prior to that, I believe, and I'm not saying this is fact, it's just what I believe. And I had many conversations with Scott that initial, guessing 9 or 10 years prior to 2, he was licensed at prior. But at that point in time, he knew that he needed to make sure to on because we've gone through this situation. The Duchesne store previous way. And we went through this process, and we actually through Scott Ginger situation. Roosevelt assisted her through that since they had already gone through shame. Anyway, again,
Thank you.
know all
Yeah,
that.
thank you. And I mean, I guess we'll continue to have this discussion and we can figure out what we need to do today versus the next time. I do think, I mean, for me, it's, you know, kind of, I don't want, and I like that there's this competitive process, and I don't think that it should just be given that if it's a family business, it just gets passed through the generations. I mean, that's not what, I don't think that's not what we want to be in the business of, but it sounds very much like you have been operating the store. You, Virginia, have been operating the store. And so that's where I see this. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I have a question for Jeff. So
I just want to make the point too that, I don't disagree with any of the efforts that you've made here, and it sounds like you did everything you thought you needed to do to get this in order, and I'm really sorry that it hasn't worked out. I think the question before this commission is to award this license, considering that the AG's office has already looked into this. The issue has already been decided, and so we have a different question, not as to whether or not you had this, you know, the work you did was valid or enough. Sorry, I'm not using the proper legal terms here. But the question before us is related to the package agency, unfortunately, and I'm really sorry that it didn't get it worked out otherwise. Are there other comments or questions from the commission?
yes, sorry, I just had a question for Jeff about, so the license was from the old database, and so that's why it came with the previous 2 names. Just wanted some clarification on that.
So when we went through the application process, Same. Same. Basic information. Basically. Substantiate that the contract with the So prior to that, what's listed, both her and Scott. Contract. prior to that. Submitted the application. It had sole proprietor, but there were two advanced clarification. That's what. It's gonna sell.
But if they had pulled the license with just his name on it, that'd have been an alert that there had been an error. That would have been the alert. That could have been fixed at that time.
Yeah, I did just want to say, this is something I know, Erica is on leave at the moment, who's the Director of Compliance and Licensing. I do know before she left to go on leave, this was an issue that I know the staff, grappled with, was looking at, and it's been reviewed. And so I did just want to make sure that you all were aware that this is something that, it is, these things are very technical, and we recognize that. And I know Erica also recognized that. And so I just wanted to make sure you were aware that we do understand that, but obviously wanted to make sure things were done the legal way.
So thank you for your presentation. I think that we'll move to the next applicant, and I really appreciate you being here and for your time. Jeff, would you like to make an introduction? And thank you.
The next applicant is Heather Sorensen.
But I wanted to share a little bit of what we plan to do as far as marketing and growing the product selection. So I have also been the operator in Roosevelt for 12 years when Ginger and Scott, two of the Duchesne agency, Roosevelt and Duchesne were closed at the same time. The agent there who died and my father passed away. So for a few months, Duchesne it was rough. But since then, it has been super fun to change the agency up. One of the things that we drug our feet on was going to the plan. Kate, I have to, again, Kate told me, open floor plan. Oh, we're fine. We know our customers in such a small area. And it's really amazing to see people walk around. Just grow their little baskets. So, one of the things that I feel like is a little bit different with our agency, I guess I don't know, but agencies are based on bottle utilities. And we are very based because if you focus so much on the bottle utilities, your selection is very, very low. And just a lot of the low end stuff. Right? So we've kind of gone to more of a revenue base. We carry a lot of high end stuff. We feel like we definitely have on their bottle counts, but I feel like the selection in that area. So sorry, Vernal is 30 minutes away. That's the closest state store than us and then Duchesne and then even 2,000 minutes. So there isn't a lot of selection out there. There are not a lot of different places to go. You can just rent another store. It's great to be able to drive through Roosevelt and find something that honestly a lot of times we can't find it at the bigger stores. My husband is a fanatic about products. He is constantly searching the website. We're trying to go through trends. Facebook, TikTok, all of there's so much right now that people are seeing and keeping up with everything moving and just making sure that we have like So, I have a little bit of, as far as demographics, I'm also I share, do you shake the county has and Roosevelt 6,800 1,060. The religious population is about 8%. That area is about 70%, which is a little bit limiting as far as sales. And also that so, one of the things that I think is kind of cool was that did not understand that question, but in that last year, the last fiscal year, 2000, so it's just that we have to look at that, and we have also planned to.
Are there questions from the commission?
Yeah, thank you, Heather, for being here. So help, this is the same, it's the same location. It's the same location, right? I mean, who owns the property? Whoever gets the contract. Okay, all right, that helps. Yeah, because I was seeing the same photos, but that now I get it.
Adding this.
Yeah.
But in our little liquor store, so I don't know if there's a possibility of that. Virginia, I closely, but I am working. My license number. So other locations are so hard. So
Sure, I had one more. When did you become available, or when did you become aware that the Duchesne agency might be available?
very. Also don't want to run into that. Not any C or D, yes, but I feel like 10 years ago was a little bit relaxed. I think it's the last one.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
I have a pretty easy question, but I want to thank you. I remember actually you coming before us in your initial, well, I guess that wasn't your initial presentation, but when we kind of got order and started through the process again. And so thank you just for your business acumen, and been really impressed with the information that you shared with us then, and then just with your operations in the other store. So thank you. Just want to put that on the record. I apologize because you may have said this. I was clarifying something with my colleague. Are the pictures that are before us, are these the Roosevelt store or the Duchesne?
Oh,
Is this the Duchesne? Okay, so this is as
Duchesne is
under the current operator.
yes.
Okay, I just
those
wanted,
were
that's why
photos.
okay.
Yeah, that was
I
the
I know you talked about how you would change things, but I was just wondering if it was like, if what we're looking at right now is the current operator's photos. Okay, thank you.
And then the Roosevelt is just the way we have it set up, some of the merchandising stuff. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's that small clarification for me where you actually, I think, said that already. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Commissioner
Chair.
Jacobson?
Since we're not going to make a decision today, I would like to suggest that we get as much information as possible from both applicants concerning their marketing plans, their hours of operation, any other information that would be pertinent to us making a decision as best for the state.
Commissioner Jacobson, I think all that information is in your packet. It's under,
So our operating hours would be Tuesday through Saturday, 8 to 7. If we feel we need to extend those hours, we will. We'd be happy to extend for seasonal. But in that area, that feels like a good. And everything shuts down in those small towns after 7.
Commissioner Jacobson, I think you stated that we wouldn't be making a decision today, but from what I'm hearing from both applicants is that they want a decision today, because there's no agency operating in Duchesne. Is that my understanding, that you prefer a decision today from both applicants?
So that as soon as we have a decision, we could probably be open. I should say that.
Are there any other questions for this applicant? Yes, Commissioner.
I have a question that I've struggled with whether to ask it or not because it could be a little divisive, but I read all of the information from both of our applicants. And one of the statements that was made was that DABS was actually notified by you or maybe your husband that the former owner at Duchesne had died.
So yes, in the small town and area, someone reached out to me and asked if Scott had passed away because in previous situations, it would be closed that day, next day shut down. This is a very different situation. He did inquire more to see, and I did ask Jeff because I don't know a lot of people in that area, rather than circling around to what we'll just out and asking if he had heard Scott. That was, I did not.
Okay, it's my understanding that they thought that she was, because the license had her name on it, they thought that she was a licensee.
So, and after the 19th, when it did close, it was, or no, actually, so after he passed away, it was several weeks before there was I don't know if it's out of order or anything, when a packaging died. We did know the situation with Scott and Ginger. Scott had talked to me about the situation. So it was just, of course, it went to the fire. Just to go home to
There's someone else on his license with him.
father, but he did have an employee, but just the way that it's operated. Without that.
Right, but if you had been on the license with, or thought you were on the license with your father, it wouldn't have shut down, correct?
Oh, but did you hear me explain to you that Scott had told us at the 2015 because my husband and I were in the same situation. They were also dealing with that. So it's not something I received from the consider. It's not how to express that. So because of knowing that, I knew it was just like that. So
Are there any other questions for this applicant?
Madam Chair,
Yeah, Sam.
this is a little bit different from the Escalade.
Sam, can I pause for 1 second? If there are no other questions for this applicant, I'd ask you to take your seat and then we'll have discussion to this. Thank you so much. Go ahead, Sam.
Sorry.
Sorry to cut you off.
Because on the Escalante, we only had one application. Here's commissioners. Feel like there should be some more information to be submitted. I think that I understand you may want to expedite this and get it. Choose the new packaging, so maybe better to delay this, maybe have a special meeting.
Maybe I have a question for Commissioner Jacobson. Based on the information that you've already received, in terms of the questionnaire and the work that staff has done, what additional information would you be looking for from that applicant?
See a marketing plan here. I see a lot of. That's why I said to you, I like to see a little bit more. You know, I see a photograph, I see some letters that tell us we're gonna do a great job, but no plan. There's no plan in here that shows us how this is all going to work. And maybe I'm trying to impose too big a business plan on something that really is just a small retail operation. But I do think it's important to get detail about how you're going to reach out to the community and what efforts you plan to do in that community. I realize that Virginia's family has run the agency there for years, but that alone doesn't tell us that you have a marketing plan and what you plan to do now that you're in a competition situation. One of the things that we discussed in 2022 was the fact that we had so many people that were just coming back to us who had worked before. And when we took a look at some of the Google pictures that I brought to the meeting, you could see that this wasn't more than using some little building in a small town and not really having any kind of business plan as to what they were going to do moving forward. And we've had some discussions about the need to do that. So that's what my concern is. I don't really see anything here that goes into that kind of detail and into that kind of business plan. And that's why I had some concerns about it. I thought we were just getting some preliminary information here today. And then we were going to need to dig into it by asking questions today. And then prior to the next meeting, and I have no objection to our Attorney General's suggestion of a special meeting to really get good information about what's going to happen with these two competing operators.
Sorry. Any other comments from the commission?
I'm gonna wait for direction from the chair on whether or not to move on this. It feels like perhaps the attorney's recommendation is most prudent. I am concerned about expedite. I didn't realize that like this was basically a store and there's pictures of the store as is. It's just not in operation. And so I am interested in that store being operational. So I'll maybe look for direction from the chair on moving forward just from the procedures, but I will tell you that my thinking on this is this feels a bit technical, and I think we need to follow the law and make sure that we get everything in order the way it needs to be put into order. If not for some of these technical paperwork issues, this license would be coming up, from my understanding, for renewal in 2025. I think that that's right. And at that point, this idea about understanding the marketing plan and really getting to like weighing the different operators, that would have happened at that point. Now we're in this kind of like technical this technical issue has caused us to be thinking about that decision a little bit earlier. And this is all to say that if we hold a special commission meeting, I still would be in the same position of wanting to make a motion to award to Ms. McKinnon, while making the point that I would absolutely like to see Ms. Sorensen apply at the next renewal. So just wanted to go on the record with kind of how I'm thinking about this, if that's helpful.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we're not in a position that we can be Solomon and split the baby. We have to make a decision one way or another, but I am persuaded that we ought to kind of just hit the pause button, get some questions answered outside of the formality of the commission meeting, and just within 2 weeks be able to come back with a special meeting that I'd be willing to participate in as well, and get a decision, because I like Commissioner Tennert's line of thinking there, and Commissioner Jacobson, that I mean, who's at fault here? Looks like there's a little bit of fault on both sides here with the clerical errors. So how much do we penalize the at fault? So I would be persuaded that we put the pause button on today. Thank them for the testimony, and within a couple of weeks we come back and make a decision.
I just wanted to add that I am of the same thought process that Commissioner Tennert expressed. And I also want to add that I called staff yesterday trying to get some sort of idea as to which way I might lean. And I said, how are they to work with? Both are great to work with. How do they, how well do they benefit their communities? They're both great. And so I just wanted to say that regardless of how things end up, the staff just literally said, this is up to y'all to make this hard decision. So I just wanted to thank both of you for, the service that you're providing to what is an underserved community. And I do want to get it open as quickly as possible, but I agree that we just need to make sure that we have all the facts before we make that final decision.
The last thing I'll say before we move on in our agenda is I want to be clear with the applicants that in this, I think, situation we're in, I agree, it's no one's at fault here, and or maybe there's a lot of fault to be shared, I don't know. But finding us in the situation we're in, where we do have two applicants who are both good operators and have a history of both having good operations, I think that what would be incumbent on you as we move forward is to differentiate yourselves in some way, right? I think that where we reviewed applications in 2022, as Commissioner Jacobson mentioned, we asked for a business plan, a marketing plan, something like that. I think in that case where we had a single applicant, a business plan was, I'm going to keep doing the same thing I've been doing for the past 12 years. And like, when you've only got one applicant, you're like, oh, okay, well, tell me what that thing is that you've been doing for 12 years and how that's been working for you and how you want to do that in the future. But I think where we do have this competition, just simply what worked in 2022 is we're going to need a deeper dive going forward to be able to do our due diligence to differentiate the two applications before us. So I would challenge you to get that together quickly, and maybe within the next week, work with Jeff and we can get everything together, and then give the commission another week to vet applications and then find some time for a special commission meeting. And that will most likely be happening remote, an online special meeting to award the license. And it's unfortunate that a technicality has led to a whole community finding themselves in a position where they have to drive a significant distance to consume the products that the state has regulated only be sold in a certain way. And so I want to apologize to the communities that you serve, that they're inconvenienced in this way, but the law's the law, and we're doing our best as commissioners to do our jobs. So if that's agreeable, we'll move on in the agenda, and thank you both, all of you, for your time and attention and being here. And Jeff, we'll be in touch and looking forward to that. We'll move to public comment in just a minute, and you're welcome to speak there. Thank you. Where's my agenda? Sorry. Here we go. Okay. So we are going to move to comments. If you've signed up, oh, actually, first I'll go to the commission. Are there any comments from the commission? Yes.
Okay, thank you. And I feel like I've spoken a lot this meeting, so I'll try to be as brief as possible. Two comments. So the first comment is just I would just like to formally recognize our former Commissioner Natalie Randall. You did mention already that she's taken a post working for Governor Cox's administration, and they are so lucky to have her. And it's such a coup for them to have her in that position, and so amazing for the state, but it's a real loss for our commission. And I'm certain she's not even listening to this meeting, but perhaps we can get her the notes because she's doing bigger and better things. But it was just such a pleasure to serve with her, and just she's such a brain, and exactly. And just I think did a real service for the hospitality industry and for rural Utah on this commission. I hope that as the governor is looking to make an appointment to fill her position, that he and his staff are thinking about all those great things that Natalie brought to us. And then I guess I'll pivot something that's completely different than that. Going back to the conversation that we had about the change in the statute, and we basically have implemented, at least on the conditional license approval, the change of the statute in this meeting. Now it will likely become law May 1st upon the governor's signature. I just, as someone who watches the numbers and understands how the quota works, the way the calculation is going to work with those new licenses is that there'll be a change to the formula every July 1. And so that means that there will be a little bit of a bump in licenses available on July 1 of every year for the next couple of years. And so 7 years, yes, the next 7 years, a little bit of a bump the next year for the next 7 years. And so I just want to make the point to the public and interested stakeholders that it would serve you well to get your applications in as soon as possible. And certainly for those little July bumps, given that the commission needs to approve any conditional license, because I think what will happen is you'll see those licenses drawn down very quickly, given that there's required approval. And so just to set yourself up for the most success in having access to those licenses, I just wanted everyone to be aware of how that timing will likely work. We'll continue to provide some information, but
those of you who don't know, Commissioner Tenner has been in this position in the Governor's Office of Planning and Budget, and working with population data and statistics in her professional career outside of her role on the DABS Commission. And I am so grateful to have you as a fellow commissioner and have that knowledge and be able to provide that insight to our licensees. It's really, other comments?
On those same lines, I think that I hope that we're able to disseminate that information to populations who don't have access to attorneys and people who can help them with that, because I think that kind of gives you a special bump in the line, right? You have that information, and a lot of people don't. So I hope that we can find as a commission ways to do that and help other communities who need that information.
Signed up in the back of the room, please go ahead and approach. I know some people might have been here for an agenda item that was already covered, so if you want to just not speak to, that's okay. Go ahead and come up to the mic and introduce yourself and your organization, first and last names.
It's Jeff Cree, and I'm starting up Scoville's in Sugar House. Some of you might remember me. I was with Charlie Green Company for about 13 years. I'm doing my own thing now. I haven't been with them for a little bit. I think I'm the guy Mr. Jacobson's talking about. I'm the next applicant after the student plan. And, we'll be good. About 20 employees, it'll take about 2 weeks in construction. We literally just waited. But just want to say hello. All the best.
Thank you for being here and introducing yourself.
See you.
Any other comments from the public? Go ahead and.
I'm wondering if you can clarify what the as far as parking. I understand we are allowed to park it. Our cells and as far as bringing a clientele, it's completely based on word of mouth. And I feel like in our Roosevelt location, that's where we have brought in a lot of cells that go to other areas. A lot of people do travel out of the basin to the city to grab whatever. And sorry. Then you grab it in Salt Lake, grab it in New York City or whatever. So I feel like as far as that goes,
How about we do this? How about we work with Jeff to clarify the ask and we'll send it to you in an email. Perfect. To the applicant.
Thank you so much.
Commissioner Jacobson.
I just want to say that it's very important that we share with both and that any communications in connection with this not be what we call ex parte, which is with one party connection with both.
Other public comments. Go ahead.
Commissioners, Tanner, Leonard. I have two items. The first one is something from very early in the meeting. Agent Sean Cannon and Lieutenant Jeffrey Adams have repeatedly told me and my clients, you are not allowed to confiscate a license. If you think it's fake, don't take it. Call your local police department. Just wanted to reiterate that for any licensees still in the room. Bad things can happen if you take somebody's personal property, even if it is fake. So don't do that. Number two, I have always been able to rely on you guys. I've been able to count on your consistency. One of the time when I negotiate with Sam McHenry from the AG's office, when I think I have great facts, when he comes back and says, we can't change it, consistency, this is how we're going to settle the violations. When I don't agree with you guys on your policies, at least I know what they are and I can count on them. And the reason that I come to these meetings is not just to support my clients and advocate for them. The reason that people come to these, even when they haven't started an application yet, the reason they listen online, it's because they want to know what's going to happen. And today that didn't happen. Today you guys dropped a bomb on us. Today we are being held to a law that hasn't happened yet. That when people had the opportunity to make their applications on the due date of the 10th of the month, wasn't even a bill. It wasn't something anybody had an idea would happen. This is something that I have asked you guys to do in the past. I am thrilled that we are giving out more biolicenses, but this is new and this is hard. And this is going to be requiring me to make a lot of tough phone calls after this commission meeting. And I just wanted to say, please don't drop any more bombs going forward. Give us some heads up. Give the public some heads up when you're going to make a major policy change. I know this omnibus bill is huge and it's changing, and I'm going to do my big tweet fest come later next week, going over every single little part of it. And this was going to be a big part of it. Well, they took all of this autonomy away from you guys. And I don't think that's cool, but I also didn't have any clue that it was going to happen today, and neither did anybody else here, I think, including Commissioner Jacobson from what he said. So that's all. I'm going to go sit down now. Thank you for your time.
For comments here. Any other respectful comments? Okay. Well, I'd be looking for a motion to adjourn. Okay, non-debatable. All those in favor, please say aye. Thank you.